Chapter 4381. After seeing Lu Ming and the others swear, Yang Kai finally felt relieved. Then, he silently recited the cultivation method of the great imitation skill. Lu Ming and the others silently memorized the cultivation method of the great imitation skill. At the same time, Lu Ming also analyzed word by word to see if Yang Kai had tampered with the cultivation method. In the end, Lu Ming confirmed that this was the real great imitation skill and there were no abnormalities. Lu Ming had mastered close to 1,800 types of ancient mystic skills. His understanding of ancient mystic skills had already reached an astonishing level. Moreover, he had the ancient divine stone in his hands. Whether an ancient secret skill was real or fake, or whether there were flaws, he could tell at a glance. "The great imitation skill is in my hands!" Lu Ming was overjoyed. Autumn Moon and Bubbles were also overjoyed. Although the great imitation skill did not have much offensive power, it was extremely useful. It was more useful than many secret skills with powerful offensive power. For example, just now, if Yang Kai had not revealed a flaw in his words, Lu Ming would never have thought that Yang Kai would attack him. Therefore, he would not have been able to avoid the other party's sneak attack. In that case, even if Lu Ming did not die, he would be severely injured. This was Lu Ming. If it were anyone else, the outcome would be obvious. No assassination technique could compare to the great imitation skill. "I've already told you the cultivation method of the great imitation skill. Can I leave now?" Yang Kai looked at Lu Ming and the others and said. "Oh?" Lu Ming responded softly, and suddenly made a move. He slapped Yang Kai's dantian and a violent force rushed directly into Yang Kai's dantian, smashing it into pieces. His cultivation had been crippled. Yang Kai's pupils instantly popped out as he stared at Lu Ming. His eyes were full of unwillingness, resentment, and confusion. "Lu Ming, you've already sworn on life origin. How dare you kill me? Aren't you afraid of being devoured by life origin?" Yang Kai roared. "I'm afraid. Of course I'm afraid. However, I didn't say that I was going to kill you. I'm just going to cripple your cultivation and control you. Who said that I was going to kill you?" Lu Ming said coldly and nodded to Bubbles. Bubble took the hint and waved her small hands at a strange frequency. The power of space-time burst out and enveloped Yang Kai in layers. Yang Kai's body began to twist and his body strangely became thin. Bubbles wanted to use the space-time power to seal Yang Kai. "Ah, Lu Ming, you didn't keep your word. You will die a horrible death!" Yang Kai shouted crazily. However, Lu Ming did not move. He could not just let him leave. Lenses heavens. SSSSS the great imitation skill, lenses lens yangs. The main reason was that Yang Kai had mastered the great imitation skill. This ancient secret technique was too terrifying. Letting him leave would be very dangerous. If Yang Kai taught the great imitation skill to others, it would be even more dangerous. It would be a ticking time bomb. Therefore, Lu Ming wanted to control him. If possible, Lu Ming really wanted to kill Yang Kai and end this once and for all. However, Lu Ming had indeed sworn on life origin that he would not kill Yang Kai. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, he did not have the ability to resist the devouring of life origin. Only Origin Realm experts who had mastered life origin could be fearless of the devouring of life origin. Therefore, Lu Ming did not kill Yang Kai. He only crippled his cultivation. This was not a violation of the oath. Soon, Yang Kai was turned into a thin piece of paper under the effect of the space-time power. Then, he was sucked into a disk array and sealed inside. "Done!" Bubbles put away the formation disk and said with a smile. This was just a small interlude. It did not affect Lu Ming's plan. After that, the three of them continued to hunt the 5 elemental soul beasts. A few days later, the 5 elemental soul energy in their bracelets was finally gathered. The three of them wanted to go to the 4th immortal mountain. In front of the suspension bridge between the 2 immortal mountains, the 5 elemental soul energy turned into a wisp of 5 elemental immortal energy. Lu Ming still used it to cultivate ordinary secret techniques. Another 5,000 secret techniques had reached greater mastery. Lu Ming's battle prowess had increased a little. Of course, it was impossible for his battle prowess to reach 14 stars. The difference was too great. Now, Lu Ming still had more than 5,000 ordinary secret techniques that he had yet to reach greater mastery. On the other side, Autumn Moon had finally broken through. In her chest, the sacred heart of 9 orifices was beating violently. A terrifying aura burst out of the 9th aperture. Finally, a bright light rushed out of the 9th aperture of the sacred heart of 9 orifices, causing the entire sacred heart of 9 orifices to shine. Finally, Autumn Moon had opened all 9 apertures of the sacred heart of 9 orifices, and her battle prowess had skyrocketed. Lu Ming estimated that Autumn Moon's current battle prowess should have reached 11 stars. When the sacred heart of 9 orifices was fully opened and reached greater mastery, the increase in battle prowess would be very shocking. It would not be difficult to increase her battle prowess from 10 stars to 11 stars. Bubbles had also gained a lot. However, Lu Ming could not estimate how much her battle prowess had increased. The power of time and space was mysterious and difficult to estimate. This 5 elements immortal mountain was really a great opportunity. Not to mention anything else, just the increase in their battle prowess was already a great gain. After the 5 elements immortal energy was used up, the 3 of them continued to move forward and arrived at the 4th immortal mountain. The 4th immortal mountain had more 5 elemental soul beasts than the 3rd. Of course, they were stronger and more dangerous. From time to time, terrifying 5 elemental soul beasts would appear. There was even one time when the 3 of them encountered a group of 11-star 5 elemental soul beasts. Remember, it was not just one soul beast, but a group. Even if the 3 of them became stronger, they were still no match for a group of 11-star 5 elemental soul beasts whose cultivation had reached the 9th level of the Emperor God realm. They could only run away. Just like that, the 3 of them spent some time and successfully collected the soul energy of the soul beasts, obtaining a wisp of 5 elemental immortal energy. This time, Lu Ming finally cultivated the remaining 5,000 or so ordinary secret techniques to greater mastery. Autumn Moon used this wisp of 5 elemental immortal energy to continue developing the sacred heart of 9 orifices. The potential of the sacred heart of 9 orifices was fully developed. As for Bubbles, she naturally continued to improve her power of time and space. Then, they entered the 5th immortal mountain. The 5th immortal mountain was full of soul beasts, and was even more dangerous. However, with their strength and their respective life-saving methods, it was not difficult to hunt soul beasts. This time, it did not take them 10 days to collect all the soul energy of the 5 elemental soul beasts. Brother Lu Ming, this time, I plan to use the 5 elemental immortal energy to cultivate the great imitation art. What about you? Bubbles asked Lu Ming. Good idea, I plan to do the same. Lu Ming nodded. The great imitation art was very useful and ranked in the top 3 among all the ancient secret techniques. The difficulty of cultivating it was absolutely shocking. Chapter 4382. With Lu Ming's understanding of ancient secret techniques, the difficulty of cultivating the great imitation technique was absolutely astonishing. If they cultivated it step by step outside, who knew how much time it would take? If they could use a wisp of 5 elements immortal energy to cultivate it to greater mastery, it would be completely worth it. In the end, the 3 of them unanimously decided to use this wisp of 5 elements immortal energy to cultivate the great imitation technique. The effect of 5 elements immortal energy was indeed very astonishing. The 3 of them used the 5 elements immortal energy, and quickly mastered the great imitation technique, cultivating it to the beginner level. Then, it was lesser mastery. Then, it was greater mastery. Yes, after using a wisp of 5 elements immortal energy, they directly cultivated the great imitation technique to greater mastery. However, after cultivating the great imitation technique to greater mastery, a wisp of 5 elements immortal energy was already used up. However, the 3 of them were already very satisfied. The 3 of them were just about to try the mystery of the great imitation technique when suddenly, a force acted on their bodies. Under this force, their bodies directly disappeared from the spot. The next moment, they appeared in a new place. Is this a valley? Lu Ming looked around. He found that they were in a valley with high cliffs on both sides. The valley was very wide, at least tens of thousands of miles wide. In front of them, there was a golden wall of light blocking their path. And behind them, it was chaos and there was no path. Under the golden wall of light in front of them, there were many people standing. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the crowd and saw at least 20 people. Among the 20 people, most of them were from the heavenly human race. In addition, there were a few powerhouses from the top 10 races. They are existences on the universe prodigy list. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. There were a few youths among them. Lu Ming had seen portraits of them in the illusory divine jade before. They were existences on the universe prodigy list, and they were all ranked in the top 20. They were definitely not comparable to Gabbert. Those who could reach here were definitely not weak. The arrival of Lu Ming and the other two was also noticed by the others. Then, their gazes revealed a bright glow. Obviously, they recognized Lu Ming. Mu Yun! It's Mu Yun! The people of the heavenly human tribe cried out in alarm. The greed in their eyes was extremely intense. Even those on the universe genius list looked greedy. Kill! A few of them reacted quickly and directly attacked. They turned into several streaks of rainbow light and attacked Lu Ming. Just as Autumn Moon and Bubbles were about to attack, Lu Ming stopped them. There's no need for you to deal with these clowns. I'll deal with them. Lu Ming spoke. Before he could finish his words, he had already charged out. Boom! Boom! Forbidden power erupted, and the Battle Secret Art's sevenfold combat power was activated. The dazzling fist energy carried a destructive power as it blasted out and collided with the attacks of the experts. After a series of explosions, the attacks of those experts collapsed. Their bodies trembled violently as they retreated. There were even some who spat out large mouthfuls of blood, their faces pale, suffering serious injuries. You! How could you possibly have such strength? These people all cried out in surprise, finding it hard to believe. There was no doubt that those who could reach this place were all at the 9th level of the Great Supreme God Realm. That was the foundation, and their combat power was extremely strong. There were 4 people who had attacked just now. 2 of them had 8-star combat power, and the other 2 had 9-star combat power. The 4 of them had joined forces, but they had been instantly defeated by Lu Ming. 2 of them had even been injured. And Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 8th level of the Great Supreme God Realm. What kind of combat power was that? It was simply unbelievable. However, Lu Ming's display of combat power didn't stop these people from wanting to kill Lu Ming. They were just shocked for a moment, then they all attacked. More than 20 people at the scene almost all attacked. Except for one person who didn't attack. More than 20 figures charged towards Lu Ming together, bringing with them terrifying energy waves. These people had at least 8-star combat power. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to reach this place. In addition, many of them had 9-star combat power. There were even 3 geniuses of the heavenly human tribe who had 10-star combat power. Facing so many experts, it was difficult for Lu Ming to face them head-on. However, Lu Ming wouldn't face them head-on. He used his movement skill. His body seemed to have turned into several spear lights, flashing in the air. After a few flashes, he dodged these people's attacks. Lu Ming now had a 13-star combat power, which was equivalent to his opponent's 10-star combat power. In a one-on-one battle, he wasn't afraid of any of them. However, there were so many of them. He couldn't fight them head-on, but if he focused on dodging, they wouldn't be able to kill him. After the first wave of attacks, the second wave of attacks was launched. Lu Ming continued to use his movement skill. Spear lights flashed in the air, dodging these people's attacks one by one. Damn it, don't dodge if you dare. Fight me. If we fight head-on, I'll kill you in one move. The geniuses of the heavenly human tribe shouted. You have so many people, and you still have the cheek to say that. If you're so capable, fight me one-on-one. Lu Ming sneered. Okay, one-on-one. Get out of the way. Let me deal with him. A heavenly human tribe genius shouted. This heavenly human tribe genius had a 10-star combat power and was one of the top geniuses of the heavenly human tribe. He was only weaker than son of heaven or daughter of heaven. He was confident that he could kill Lu Ming alone. However, the others weren't willing to do so. I can deal with him too. Get out of the way. It was another heavenly human tribe genius who also had a 10-star combat power. Among the top geniuses, the confident ones didn't want to get out of the way. The others also didn't want to get out of the way. They wanted to fish in troubled waters. Maybe they could kill Lu Ming in the chaos. That would be a great contribution. On the heavenly human tribe side, there were a few geniuses on the universe prodigy list. They all wanted to kill Lu Ming, so their attacks were chaotic and couldn't form an effective encirclement attack. This way, Lu Ming could dodge more easily. All of you back off. Leave it to me. At this moment, a cold voice was heard. The voice was full of arrogance. The moment they heard this voice, all the prideful geniuses felt their hearts skip a beat. They couldn't help but stop in their tracks as they turned around to look. There was a heavenly human tribe youth standing there quietly. He was the only one who hadn't made a move. Everyone's eyes were filled with awe as they looked at this person. Do you want me to say it again? All of you, get out of the way. I'll deal with him. The heavenly human tribe youth spoke again. There was a hint of displeasure in his voice. The others' hearts skipped a beat. They didn't dare to disobey and stepped back. Does Son of Heaven want to deal with him personally? One of the heavenly human tribe geniuses asked with a hint of respect in his voice. That's right. This heavenly human tribe genius who hadn't made a move yet was one of the 9 sons of heaven and daughter of heaven of the 4 heavenly palace. His name was Yichu Qianwei. Chapter 4383. This time, there were a total of 4 heavenly palaces. These 4 heavenly palaces only had a total of 9 sons of heaven or daughters of heaven. Sons of heaven or daughters of heaven represented the peak of the younger generation of the heavenly human tribe. Not only were they talented and powerful, but they also represented their status. The status of sons of heaven or daughters of heaven was very high in the heavenly human tribe. They were almost comparable to the Lord of Heaven. Therefore, countless people racked their brains to become sons of heaven or daughters of heaven. That status and the resources they controlled were too terrifying. Yichu Qianwei approached Lu Ming step by step. The aura on his body was getting stronger and stronger. Lu Ming also stopped and looked at Yichu Qianwei. His eyes were filled with strong combat power. Son of Heaven was one of the strongest people in the younger generation of the primitive universe. Lu Ming wanted to know how powerful a Son of Heaven's combat ability was. Young master, I feel that this person is very strong. I'm afraid you're no match for him. Autumn Moon came to Lu Ming's side and quietly transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Does he have a combat power of 11 stars? Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Autumn Moon. I think so. I feel a strong pressure. Autumn Moon nodded in response. Lu Ming knew that Autumn Moon should feel the same. Autumn Moon's 9 apertures sacred heart had been fully opened, and her combat power had reached 11 stars. To be able to make Autumn Moon feel pressured, the other party's combat power was definitely not weak. I'll try one move. If the other party only has 11 stars of combat power and can't kill me in one move, you guys can attack from behind. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Autumn Moon and Bubbles. All right. Autumn Moon and Bubbles nodded and agreed. Come on, let me see how strong the Heavenly Palace's Son of Heaven is. Lu Ming's eyes were bright, and his fighting spirit was getting stronger. The forbidden power in his body was activated to the extreme, and the battle formula was also activated to the extreme. There were tens of thousands of cells all over his body. They were radiant and dazzling like stars. These were the cells that had been fused with the secret technique runes. The power of the secret technique fused with the forbidden power, and Lu Ming was shrouded in a layer of multicolored light. At the same time, every pore on his body was constantly emitting tiny spear lights. In the end, his entire body was about to transform into a spear light. Showing off in front of an expert, Tian Fa, kill! Yichu Qianhua coldly shouted and took a step forward. His body turned into a phantom as he rushed towards Lu Ming. Then, he pressed down his palm towards Lu Ming. Streaks of pure white lightning shot out from his palm. This was the power of heavenly punishment. However, Yichu Qianhua's control over the heavenly punishment power had clearly reached an extremely profound level. The power of heavenly retribution intertwined in his hand, turning into a spear completely made of heavenly retribution power, thrusting towards Lu Ming. So what if it's heavenly punishment? Watch how I break the heavens! Lu Ming let out a long roar and displayed the heaven-breaking style. His entire body turned into a shocking spear light, thrusting towards Yichu Qianhua. The two dazzling spear lights met in the air, and the spear tips pierced each other. In an instant, it was as if a star had exploded. Where the spear tips met, there was a burst of dazzling light. Countless fine spear lights shot out in all directions. The faces of the experts from the heavenly palace changed. They retreated one after another, setting up layers of defense in front of them to block these fine spear lights. Bubbles waved her hand, and the space-time power burst out. The space in front of her and Autumn Moon was constantly distorted, isolating these spear lights. Buzz! In the second breath of the two's confrontation, Lu Ming's spear light shook violently. Then, with a bang, it collapsed. The spear light collapsed, revealing Lu Ming's body. He retreated rapidly until he reached the side of Autumn Moon and the others. Dozens of fine wounds appeared on his body, and blood kept flowing out. These wounds were caused by the opponent's spear light. It's really powerful, Lu Ming muttered in a low voice. The opponent's combat strength had definitely reached the 11-star level, and it was not an ordinary 11-star level. It was very powerful. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, he was completely crushed. He was injured in one move. He didn't die! Yichu Qianhua frowned. He was also very shocked. With his strength, he couldn't kill a person who was one level lower than him. He had only encountered such a situation once. That was when he faced that abnormal person, and now, it was the second time. Yichu Qianhua's eyes burst out with astonishing killing intent. With your strength, you still want to break the heavens. You are simply delusional. You are destined to be one of the stepping stones of my heavenly human tribe. Today, I will kill you! Yichu Qianhua shouted coldly. His body was shrouded in the power of heaven. On his palm, the power of heaven's punishment madly condensed. Countless streams of the power of heaven's punishment were compressed together, condensing and compressing. Finally, it turned into a dazzling battle sword. Whoosh! The battle sword broke through the air and once again slashed toward Lu Ming. Its speed was fast, and its power was even more terrifying. Even the incomparably stable space rippled. The incomparably sharp sword she went straight to Lu Ming's glabella. Before the sword light arrived, Lu Ming felt that there were very small lightning bolts swimming on the surface of his skin. It stimulated his skin and caused a burst of pain. Let me do it! At this time, Bubbles' voice sounded. Her small hand pressed forward. The power of time and space erupted. The void was like ripples of water. It also looked like pieces of mirrors stacked together and pressed toward Yichu Qianhua. These mirror-like spaces seemed to be sealing Yichu Qianhua. The power of time and space. What a space-time spirit mouse! How dare you attack me? Then I will kill you together with it! Yichu Qianhua shouted. The sword light slashed violently and slashed on the power of time and space. The power of time and space was forcefully split apart like a stream of water. Stop! Bubbles shouted. Her glabella shone and two origin ancient words flew out. The power of time and space soared. The surrounding void was distorted and pressed toward Yichu Qianhua. The space-time power was crushing down on Yichu Qianhua from all directions. It was trying to crush him to death. As soon as the two origin ancient words appeared, Bubbles' strength was raised to the extreme. She broke through a limit, and her strength reached another level. 11 stars of battle strength! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Sure enough, after passing through the 5 immortal mountains and obtaining the 5 elements immortal energy, Bubbles' combat strength had also broken through. From 10 stars to 11 stars, the power of time and space became stronger. Such a powerful power of time and space made Yi Chu Qianwei feel great pressure. Power of heaven's punishment, explode! Yi Chu Qianwei shouted. The battle sword in his hand vibrated violently. The sword hummed and flew out and suddenly exploded. This battle sword was completely condensed by the power of heaven's punishment. At this time, when it exploded, thousands of lightning bolts burst out and rushed in all directions. The sky was filled with white lightning. There were too many and too much power. The power of time and space was violently distorted and then constantly exploded. Then, Bubbles' body retreated violently. End of chapter. Chapter 4384. Bubbles was no match for him. She retreated and her face turned pale. Evidently, there were differences in strength between those with 11 stars of battle prowess. Although Yi Qianwei and Bubble both possessed 11 stars of battle prowess, Bubble had just reached 11 stars of battle prowess. Clearly, he was not a match for Yi Qianwei. This is the first time I've seen a mere space-time spirit mouse with such battle strength. Now I'll give you a chance. Submit to me and work for me in the future, and I'll spare your life. Yi Qianwei said, staring at Bubbles with bright eyes. Obviously, he had taken a fancy to Bubbles' talent. Space-time spirit mice could control time and space. They were a top race in the universe, and the strong ones could open wormholes. However, this was the first time he had seen such a powerful space-time spirit mouse. He had never even heard of it, let alone seen it. If he could take her in, she would definitely be a great help. Now, there were a total of 9 sons and daughters of heaven in the 4 heavenly palace. Not to mention the 4 heavenly palace, there were 2 sons of heaven in the heavenly palace where he was. They were each other's biggest competitors. In addition, there were some latecomers who were also eyeing covetously. He needed more and stronger forces to support him. With Bubbles' talent, her achievements would be amazing in the future. He was really tempted to have her as his right-hand woman. Submit to you? Wake up, it's daytime now. Bubbles curled her lips, obviously mocking Yi Qianwei for daydreaming. By the side, Lu Ming was very cooperative and laughed out loud. Yi Qianwei's face was gloomy. You'd better think it through. If you follow me, you will have power and resources. You can get anything you want in this universe. Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? Now I want the head of the Lord of Heaven. Can you give it to me? Bubbles continued to curl her lips. You're digging your own grave. Yi Qianwei was completely furious. His eyes were extremely cold. He clenched his right hand and the power of heavenly punishment erupted. Countless lightning began to condense into a battle sword. At the same time, his left hand also underwent a great change. A layer of dusky power was emitted from it. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. His heart was beating wildly. This was the power of heavenly annihilation. Yi Chu Qianwei had actually managed to control 2 types of supreme heavenly powers. One was the power of heavenly punishment, the other was the power of heavenly extermination. Although the heavenly annihilation force did not seem to be as powerful as the heavenly punishment force, it was absolutely terrifying for a single person to control 2 types of heavenly powers. Lu Ming had only seen 2 types of celestial powers in the heavenly palace. Kill! Yi Chu Qianwei shouted. His body shot towards the bubble like an arrow. He waved both of his palms. 2 types of supreme heavenly power intertwined and blasted towards the bubble. It was even more powerful than before. Lu Ming's expression changed, and his aura burst out, wanting to lend Bubble a hand. At the same time, Bubble also unleashed her full strength. She activated her space-time power to the extreme. Boundless space-time power formed a space-time cage that pressed down on Yi Chu Qianwei. Under Yi Chu Qianwei's attacks, the space-time power continued to crumble. Whoosh! Lu Ming transformed into a long spear and stabbed towards Yi Chu Qianwei. Get lost! Yi Chu Qianwei blasted out a palm and hit Lu Ming, sending Lu Ming flying. Lu Ming felt his qi and blood surging. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. However, at this time, Autumn Moon also attacked. A 9-colored machete slashed towards Yi Chu Qianwei. The machete chi whistled with terrifying power. Yi Chu Qianyue's expression changed because he felt a fatal threat. At the critical moment, he blasted out his right palm and collided with the 9-colored machete. With a loud bang, a violent roar, the energy swept out in all directions. Yi Chu Qianyue's attack was finally blocked, and he was forced to retreat several steps. Autumn Moon and Bubble also retreated and then stood side by side. You have also reached 11-star battle strength. Yi Chu Qianwei looked at Autumn Moon with great shock. He was really shocked. When did 11-star battle prowess become so commonplace? Why were there so many of them popping up one after another? Most of the sons of heaven and daughters of heaven only had 11-star battle strength. The 4 great celestial palaces added together only had 9 sons of heaven or daughters of heaven. How rare was that? But now, 2 of them had appeared in a row. How could he not be shocked? Not only Yi Chu Qianwei, but the other heavenly humans and the geniuses on the universe genius list were also shocked. In their eyes, the nearly invincible son of heaven had actually been blocked by someone. Heaven's punishment, heaven's extermination, heaven's execution! Yi Chu Qianwei roared. 2 types of heaven's power surrounded his body. He raised his aura to the peak and continued to attack Bubble and the others. Young master, don't attack first. Leave it to us, Autumn Moon said. Her body was enveloped by 9-colored light. She controlled the 9-colored machete and attacked Yi Chu Qianwei. Bubble assisted her with the space-time force. Lu Ming was quite depressed. However, his strength was still a little weak. There was a big gap between him and Yi Chu Qianwei. Even if he attacked, the effect was very limited. Now, he could only rely on Autumn Moon and Bubble. Boom! Boom! The 2 sides collided again. The scene was constantly exploding. After more than 10 moves, there was no winner. This guy's battle strength has reached the limit of 11 stars, Lu Ming thought. His face was a little solemn. The geniuses of the heavenly human tribe could control multiple types of heaven's powers, which greatly increased their battle strength. Yi Chu Qianwei was so powerful just by controlling 2 types of heaven's powers. Then, among the younger generation of the heavenly human tribe, was there anyone who could control 3 or even 4 types of heaven's powers? If there was, then it would be terrifying. Lu Ming felt that he had underestimated the heavenly human tribe before. Maybe there was someone who could compete with him in the heavenly human tribe. No, not maybe, it was very likely. After all, there was more than one taboo power in history, but in the end, it did not overthrow the heavenly palace. The heavenly palace was still the ruler of the primitive universe. This was very clear. Boom! 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 The 2 sides continued to exchange more than 20 moves. In the blink of an eye, there was still no winner. Yi Chu Qianyue's face became more and more gloomy and anxious. Because he found that he could not do anything to Autumn Moon and Bubble, let alone kill Lu Ming. All of you, attack together! Yi Chu Qianwei shouted to the others. Attack! Kill! The others had been waiting for this moment. Previously, Yi Chu Qianwei asked them not to attack, so they had some scruples. Now that Yi Chu Qianwei asked them to attack, how could they not attack? Immediately they attacked. Of course, their target was Lu Ming. More than a dozen attacks were aimed at Lu Ming, and a few attacks were aimed at Autumn Moon and Bubble. Trying to win with numbers? It's not realistic for me, Bubble shouted softly. The area covered by the power of time and space rapidly expanded, enveloping the people on the heavenly palace's side. Chapter 4385. The space-time power spread out and enveloped everyone in the heavenly palace. These people were suppressed by the space-time power, and their speed slowed down. Their strength was also suppressed, and their strength was greatly reduced. Autumn Moon and Bubbles easily dodged and did not affect them much. Swoosh! Lu Ming also moved. His body was like a phantom as he pounced toward the people in the heavenly palace. In the space-time power, Lu Ming's speed was not affected at all. Instead, it became faster. After a few flashes, he dodged the attacks one by one. Then, he rushed toward an 8-star heavenly human prodigy and stabbed his spear at him. That person was shocked and wanted to dodge. However, the space-time power around him kept pressing toward him. It was as if he had fallen into a quagmire, and his speed was greatly affected. For a moment, he could not dodge at all. He could only take it head-on. He roared and unleashed his strongest heavenly power. It turned into a battle axe and slashed at Lu Ming. With a loud bang, the two attacks collided. In the instant of the collision, the battle axe formed by the heavenly human tribe's prodigy shattered. The spear light was like a rainbow piercing through the sun, piercing straight through the heavenly human tribe's forehead. The heavenly human prodigy's head exploded like a watermelon and he died. Lu Ming rushed past and the heavenly human prodigy's storage ring fell into Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming did not stop and continued to kill the next heavenly human prodigy. This prodigy had a 9-star battle strength. When he saw Lu Ming charging toward him, he was shocked and quickly retreated. However, in the space-time power, his speed was no match for Lu Ming's. He was caught up and suffered Lu Ming's terrifying attacks. Although he had a 9-star battle strength and was very powerful, it was a pity that he met Lu Ming. Lu Ming now had a 13-star battle strength. Even if this heavenly human prodigy was at his peak, he would not be a match for Lu Ming. Now that he was suppressed by the space-time power, the gap between him and Lu Ming was even greater. Poof! Blood splattered in all directions as blood-curdling screams resounded throughout the heavens and earth. Instakill, it was still an instakill. That young genius of the 9th great supreme god layer, who had the strength of a 9-star cultivator, had been killed by Lu Ming in an instant. His ring had also fallen into Lu Ming's hands. "You're courting death!" Yi Chu Qianhua roared. The murderous intent in his eyes almost materialized. Hundreds of pure white lightning bolts flickered continuously on his right palm, producing crackling sounds. Among them, dozens of pure white lightning bolts struck towards Lu Ming. As they neared Lu Ming, the lightning bolts grew larger and larger. Each bolt was thicker than a person's waist and filled with a terrifying aura. Lu Ming originally wanted to kill the next person, but in the face of these dozens of lightning bolts, he had no choice but to focus on dealing with them. Lu Ming used his movement technique and kept dodging. At the same time, he used his spear to block. After all, this was only a part of Yi Chu Qianhua's strength. It was not his full strength. Lu Ming could still block it. He thrust out his spear, and destroyed the lightning formed by the power of the heavenly punishment. "Everyone back off!" Yi Chu Qianhua roared. The lightning bolts mixed with the power of the heavenly punishment kept striking towards Zhou Qiuyu and Bubbles. At the same time, a part of them struck towards Lu Ming. The purpose of such a large-scale attack was to buy time for the other people of the heavenly palace to retreat. He was not being kind and wanted to save the other people of the heavenly palace. But if these people of the heavenly palace died, he would also be implicated. After all, he was the leader here. He was the only son of heaven. In other words, these people were under his leadership. If they were to besiege and kill Lu Ming and the rest under his leadership and suffer heavy losses, it would be a huge blow to his reputation and reputation. His competitors would definitely use this to attack him. It would be very unfavorable for him. Therefore, after Lu Ming had killed 2 young geniuses of the heavenly human tribe, he could only use his full strength to cover the retreat of the others. Under the cover of Yi Chu Qianhua, the other people of the heavenly palace quickly retreated and gathered together. Yi Chu Qianhua also stopped attacking Zhou Qiuyu and Bubbles. He also quickly retreated and gathered with the others. In this way, it would be difficult for Lu Ming and the others to attack. Yi Chu Qianhua and the others kept retreating and finally got out of the range of the power of time and space. They stared at Lu Ming and the other 2 with extremely strong killing intent, but they did not dare to act rashly. "Mu Yun! No, I should call you Lu Ming!" Yi Chu Qianhua stared at Lu Ming and said. The 9 sons and daughters of heaven of the heavenly palace knew Lu Ming's real body movement. They knew that Mu Yun was Lu Ming and Lu Ming was Mu Yun. They were the same person. Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not deny it. However, some people of the heavenly palace widened their eyes in shock. What? Mu Yun is Lu Ming? Are they the same person? How is this possible? How did his life origin aura change? Some people exclaimed and found it hard to believe. However, these words were said by Yichu Qianwei. Looking at Lu Ming's expression, it was obvious that he had admitted it. They had no choice but to believe it. This was really a piece of shocking news. Lu Ming, you can only hide behind 2 women and struggle at death's door. Without those 2 women, I can kill you with one hand. Yichu Qianwei sneered and his voice was full of sarcasm. You're just a little older than me and your cultivation is a little higher than mine. If you have the ability, why don't you fight me at the same level? Lu Ming said sarcastically. Cultivation is also a kind of capital. A high cultivation is also a kind of talent. Are you going to ask a divine master to deliberately suppress his cultivation to compete with a divine king or a divine master? Isn't that ridiculous? Some people are just so talented. No matter how much time you give them, it will be difficult for them to improve their cultivation. Do I have to suppress my cultivation to fight with someone weaker than me every time I meet him? What's the point of cultivating for all the living beings in the world? Yichu Qianwei sneered and continued to mock him. This time, Lu Ming did not say anything. He really had nothing to say. He could only use practical actions to trample on the other party's face in the future. That was the best counterattack. You talk so much nonsense. Are all the heavenly human tribe like this? Do you only rely on your mouth when you're not strong enough? Seeing Lu Ming being scolded, Chiu Yu stopped talking and responded. Yichu Qianwei glanced at Chiu Yu with a gloomy face and secretly swore to himself that he would make Chiu Yu pay the price in the future. Your Excellency, what should we do next? Behind Yichu Qianwei, a heavenly human tribe genius asked in a low voice. Continue to comprehend those primitive ancient characters. We'll find a chance to deal with Lu Ming later, Yichu Qianwei said. After saying that, he turned around and walked back to the golden light wall in front of the valley. At this time, Lu Ming and the other 2 finally had time to look at the golden light wall. At first glance, the 3 of them were shocked. They saw that there were words on the golden light wall. However, the 3 of them did not recognize any of these words. These words looked very ancient and very strange. They looked like paintings but also like words. For example, there was a word that looked like a flame. However, the 3 of them could tell that it was not a painting but a word. Chapter 4386. Are they hieroglyphs? Xiao Autumn Moon whispered. What are hieroglyphs? Lu Ming asked. Master once said that hieroglyphs are words from the last era. They were popular in the Eldritch continent back then. They looked like patterns in words, so they were called hieroglyphs. They are the oldest words. Some people call them the Eldritch ancient words. Xiao Autumn Moon explained in a low voice. I see. Hieroglyphs are quite appropriate. Lu Ming nodded. The 3 of them stepped forward and came to the golden wall. The golden wall was huge and it separated the valley completely. It was tens of thousands of miles wide. They were far away from the heavenly human tribe. The 3 of them looked at the golden wall carefully. The hieroglyphs on the golden wall of light emitted a strange light. The strange thing was that they were constantly moving on the wall of light. Sometimes they would move far away, and sometimes they would move back. It was as if they were flowing in a small river. What a strange feeling. Lu Ming whispered and stared at the hieroglyphs. The hieroglyphs gave people a feeling that they were extremely ancient, and contained endless mystery. It was as if every hieroglyph contained endless mysteries. However, the profundity of this technique was difficult to comprehend, and the things that it contained were completely different from the current cultivation system. These hieroglyphs are very strange. Do they contain the cultivation methods or secret arts of the last era? Xiao Autumn Moon guessed. According to the information left by Dandan, only by comprehending some of the mysteries of the words on the wall can we pass through this golden wall and enter the real core of the 5 elements immortal mountain to obtain the 5 elements immortal tier. At this moment, Bubbles said, "It seems that these words are indeed extraordinary." "Let's begin," Lu Ming said. The 3 of them each chose a place to sit down, and then stared at the hieroglyphs on the golden wall seriously. The golden wall seemed to be magnified in Lu Ming's eyes. Words after words flowed in Lu Ming's eyes. Lu Ming entered a state of ethereal state and tried his best to decipher the hieroglyphs, hoping to comprehend some mysteries. Of course, he also paid attention to the surroundings. If there was any danger, he would be able to react in time. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. However, Lu Ming did not comprehend anything. However, even though he didn't comprehend anything, he was still able to make some headway. These hieroglyphs don't seem to contain a cultivation method, but an existence similar to a secret technique. Lu Ming pondered. However, the cultivation method of the previous epoch was different from the current one. Although these hieroglyphs contained something similar to a secret technique, they were actually not a secret technique. They were very profound, and Lu Ming still could not figure them out. Actually, thinking about it, it made sense. Those hieroglyphs were definitely not that easy to comprehend. Yichu Qianwei and the others had likely been here for several years. Yet they were still trapped outside, unable to pass through the golden wall of light. Yichu Qianwei, to be able to become the son of heaven, his talent must be extremely high. His perception must also be top-notch. Even after spending so much time, he still couldn't comprehend it. It was clear that these hieroglyphs were definitely not that simple. At the same time, Lu Ming and the other 2 felt a sense of urgency. They wanted to comprehend it as soon as possible, pass through the golden wall, and obtain the 5 elements immortal tier. If the people of the heavenly human tribe were 1 step ahead of them, it would be troublesome. After all, they were a few years late. "Let's try the primordial god stone." Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The primordial god stone was incomparably profound. Legend had it that it was a treasure from the previous epoch. The lord of the primordial divine court relied on the primordial god stone to comprehend the 3,000 primordial secret techniques. Lu Ming relied on the primordial god stone and other primordial secret techniques as a foundation to successfully comprehend the heaven-breaking form. Could the primordial god stone help him comprehend these hieroglyphs? It was also an item from the previous epoch. It should be helpful, right? Lu Ming was not very sure, but he could only give it a try. Lu Ming's mind sank into the primordial god stone and merged with it. Buzz! In his sea of consciousness, strange patterns suddenly appeared on the primordial god stone. This is... Looking at these patterns, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. These patterns looked somewhat similar to the hieroglyphs on the golden wall of light. This had never appeared before. In the past, when Lu Ming comprehended the primordial secret techniques or the heaven-breaking form, some patterns also appeared on the primordial god stone. But those patterns were completely different from the ones now. Let's see the effect. Lu Ming suppressed the fluctuations in his heart and continued to look at the hieroglyphs on the golden wall of light. This time, there was an obvious change. The hieroglyphs on the golden wall of light seemed to have something more magical in his eyes. It was a feeling, a wonderful feeling. That was, the hieroglyphs on the golden wall of light were not so obscure and difficult to understand. Lu Ming had a strange understanding in his heart. The primordial god stone is really useful. It can help me comprehend. This is great. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Originally, the people of the heavenly human race had entered a few years earlier than them and comprehended a few more years. This made him very uncertain. He was afraid that they would suddenly succeed, pass through the golden wall of light, and take the 5 elements fairy tier first. Now, he finally had some confidence. Immediately, Lu Ming focused his mind and comprehended with all his might. These hieroglyphs slowly seemed to come alive in Lu Ming's eyes. They seemed to have turned into flames, mountains, and even different creatures, displaying their own mysteries. It's really a kind of secret technique. It's used to attack or assist. Lu Ming whispered. He understood more and more in his heart, and his understanding of these hieroglyphs also became deeper and deeper. However, after all, it was Lu Ming's first time coming into contact with this kind of hieroglyphs and this secret technique of the last era. It was still very difficult to comprehend it successfully. Even with the help of the primordial god stone, it was not that easy. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. The people of the heavenly human race still had not comprehended it. At this time, Lu Ming's understanding of the hieroglyphs had improved a lot. Sometimes, his hands would involuntarily dance. His fingertips would pass through the air, drawing mysterious patterns in the air. Young master is indeed the young master. He's always so powerful. On the side, Autumn Moon's beautiful eyes sparkled, and her face was full of admiration. Brother Lu Ming is so powerful. Dandan is right. Only Brother Lu Ming can save him. Bubbles' face was also full of smiles. The two of them only felt that their heads were swollen after comprehending it for a year. They only felt that their heads were swollen, and they did not understand anything at all. However, Lu Ming had obviously taken a big step forward and they were convinced. Let's continue to comprehend it. It's not that we don't trust the young master, but we have to be careful, Autumn Moon said to Bubbles. Okay. Bubbles nodded and continued to comprehend. In the blink of an eye, another 2 years had passed. End of chapter. Chapter 4387. Another 2 years passed. In these 2 years, Lu Ming's comprehension of the pictographic characters was increasing every day. In these 2 years, Lu Ming had made great progress. Although he hadn't fully comprehended it, he was already starting to understand it. Under the golden wall of light, Lu Ming's figure flashed and his hands danced in a mysterious trajectory. Between his hands there were either mountains, flames, or divine weapons that slashed down, unpredictable and immensely powerful. This seemed to be a kind of seal technique. Although it looked similar to the current secret technique, the way it was operated was completely different. When this seal technique was operated, there seemed to be a mysterious chi gathering between heaven and earth, which could burst out a terrifying power. At this time, Lu Ming had a kind of enlightenment. He felt that he could use this seal technique to pass through the golden light wall. Autumn Moon, Bubbles, wait for me here. I'll give it a try, Lu Ming said. Come on, Brother Lu Ming. You can definitely do it. Bubbles waved her small fist and cheered for Lu Ming. Autumn Moon also smiled. She didn't need to say anything. She definitely believed in Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared under the golden light wall. Then, his hands danced and operated the seal technique that he had comprehended from the pictographic characters. His hands seemed to have turned into flames and blasted out. 1. When the flames blasted on the golden light wall, the golden light wall shook violently. Circles of ripples spread out in all directions. It works. Continue. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It seemed that his guess was right. There was no need to fully comprehend those pictographic characters. As long as he comprehended a part of them, he could pass through the golden light wall. Immediately, Lu Ming continued to use the pictographic character seal technique. His hands danced rapidly and turned into a mountain again, bombarding the golden light wall, causing the golden light wall to shake even more violently. In the distance, about 10,000 li away, Yi Chu Qianwei and the others were still comprehending the pictographic characters. They all had the strength of the 9th great supreme god layer, so they weren't in a hurry to concoct the great desolate pellets. They also understood that this pictographic character was definitely a great opportunity. If they could comprehend it, it would be very useful to them in the future. Therefore, even though they had comprehended very little after so many years, they still did not want to leave and continued to comprehend here. Right at this moment, the golden wall of light began to tremble and ripple. What happened? Why did the wall of light suddenly shake? The people of the celestial race cried out. The tremors are coming from over there. That's Lu Ming and the others. Someone shouted. Could it be that Lu Ming and the others have already comprehended the ancient characters and are breaking through the golden light wall? As soon as this voice came out, everyone's faces turned ugly, including Yichu Qianwei. "Let's go and take a look," Yichu Qianwei said in a cold voice. His figure flashed, and rushed in the direction of Lu Ming's group. The others followed closely behind Yi Qianwei. The distance of 10,000 miles was covered in the blink of an eye. Soon, they saw Lu Ming and the others. They also saw that Lu Ming was attacking the golden light wall. Sure enough, Lu Ming had succeeded. "Damn it!" Yichu Qianwei roared. His face was distorted and became extremely ferocious. He had spent 7 or 8 years to comprehend these pictographic characters, but Lu Ming had succeeded in just a few years and started to attack the golden light wall. Jealousy, extreme jealousy. At this moment, Yichu Qianwei felt that he was about to be burned by the fire of jealousy. Kill them! Don't let them pass through the golden light wall!" Yichu Qianwei roared. His body was filled with cold killing intent as he rushed madly towards Lu Ming and the others. The others did the same and rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. "Stop them! Don't let them disturb the young master!" Autumn Moon shouted. In her chest, the sacred heart of 9 orifices was beating violently. 9 colors of light filled the air and rushed towards Yichu Qianwei and the others. "Don't you dare disturb Brother Lu Ming!" Bubbles also rushed out. The space-time force filled the entire void and shrouded all the heavenly human tribe. Autumn Moon and Bubbles did not want to kill the enemies. They only wanted to stop Yichu Qianwei and the others. The two of them cooperated seamlessly. For a moment, Yichu Qianwei and the others could not rush over. Lu Ming was not distracted. He wholeheartedly operated the pictographic characters to attack the golden light wall. The golden light wall shook more and more violently. At the center of Lu Ming's attack, a pit slowly appeared. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He seized the time and attacked continuously. With a boom, the light wall was blasted open, forming a hole that only one person could pass through. "Autumn Moon, Bubbles, I'm going in!" Lu Ming shouted. "Young master, don't worry. Leave this to us. Brother Lu Ming, go in quickly. These people can't do anything to us." Autumn Moon and Bubbles quickly responded. "Damn it, kill! Yichu Qianwei roared wildly and attacked frantically. However, it was useless. He was focused on and was wrapped in layers of space-time force. Then, Autumn Moon attacked him fiercely. He could not rush over in a short time. At this moment, Lu Ming took a step forward and dashed into the hole, disappearing from sight. Although Autumn Moon and Bubbles had to face Yichu Qianwei and the others outside, Lu Ming was not worried. With Autumn Moon and Bubbles' strength, they could protect themselves. In fact, Lu Ming was the weakest among the 3 of them. Without him, Autumn Moon and Bubbles would have an easier time. This was also the reason why he could enter the golden light wall without worry. As soon as Lu Ming entered the golden light wall, the hole in the light wall disappeared in an instant. It did not allow a second person to pass through. The golden light wall also returned to its original state. "Lu Ming!" Yichu Qianwei gritted his teeth. His eyes were flickering with cold light. The flame of anger had reached its peak. After a while, Yichu Qianwei calmed down. "Let's go!" Yichu Qianwei roared and turned to leave. Lu Ming had already entered the golden light wall. There was no need for them to stay here. It was meaningless to stay. In the blink of an eye, the people of the heavenly human tribe disappeared without a trace. After Lu Ming passed through the golden light wall, he appeared in a spacious secret chamber. The secret chamber was empty. There was nothing in it. There was no other passage or gate. Lu Ming's face turned ugly. Where was the 5 elements immortal tier? After so many years, someone finally came here. A voice suddenly sounded. Lu Ming was startled. He looked around but did not see anyone. "Who is it?" Lu Ming shouted. "I'm above you." The voice sounded again. It sounded very young, like a 7 or 8-year-old girl. Lu Ming looked up. There was suddenly a light above the secret chamber. Then, a figure suddenly appeared. This figure was only a little more than a meter tall. She had a ponytail and her face was red. It was indeed a 7 or 8-year-old girl. End of chapter. Chapter 4388. The little girl was barefooted. Her feet were white and tender, chubby, and quite cute. She gently lifted her feet and landed in front of Lu Ming, looking at Lu Ming curiously. Lu Ming also looked at the little girl curiously. It's not a real body. It's just a shadow. Lu Ming's heart moved. He could clearly see that the little girl was not a real body, not a flesh and blood life, but a shadow. It looked like it was condensed by light, and it looked very illusory. What's your name? The little girl stared at Lu Ming and asked. Lu Ming, what about you? Lu Ming answered truthfully and then asked a question in return. You can call me Jade Maiden. What do you think? It's a nice name, right? After saying that, she looked at Lu Ming with a hopeful face. It's very nice. Lu Ming said somewhat against his will. Hee, I knew it. My name is just nice. Hee, nice? The little girl was immersed in joy alone. Lu Ming. That Jade Maiden, do you have 5 elements immortal tears here? Lu Ming asked. 5 elements immortal tears, of course I have it, but if you want it, you have to promise me a condition. Jade Maiden also reacted, knowing that they were going to do business. Her small face put on a serious look. It was just that she was too cute. Even if she put on a serious look, she still looked charmingly naive. What condition? Lu Ming resisted the urge to pinch Jade Maiden's chubby face and asked. It's very simple, it's to cultivate the chi refining technique I taught you. Jade Maiden said. Chi refining technique? What's that? Cultivating true chi? Lu Ming asked curiously. Of course not. In your words, the chi refinement technique is a cultivation method from the last era. It absorbs the innate primordial chi for one's own use, refines the gold core, transforms the nascent soul, and finally ascends to immortality, becoming immortal. In the ancient desolation continent of the previous epoch, the main path of cultivation was the chi refinement art. It was extremely mysterious and full of mysteries. It was much stronger than your current path of cultivation, and had a much brighter future. What do you think? Jade Maiden muttered a bunch of things, and finally looked at Lu Ming as if she was trying to trick a child. It's actually a cultivation path from the previous era. Lu Ming said softly. His eyes were bright, and he was also quite moved. Based on the evidence Xiaochen had, the great desolate continent of the previous epoch was incredibly prosperous. Its overall strength was much stronger than it was now, with many experts. This could be seen from the fact that the Heavenly Palace and the Heaven Destroyer were exploring the ruins of the universe. Moreover, the Taishang Immortal City was just a city left behind from the previous epoch, but it contained countless epochs, which made the Divine Lord Realm experts fight over it. Based on this evidence, the cultivation civilization of the great desolate continent of the previous epoch was much stronger than it was now. How could Lu Ming not be willing to cultivate the cultivation method of the previous epoch? Of course, I am willing to cultivate it. Lu Ming quickly nodded. Well, you can cripple your own cultivation, and then I will teach you the chi refinement art. You can stay here and cultivate in peace. When you have some achievements in cultivation, you can go out and carry forward the chi refinement art. Jade Maiden muttered again, but Lu Ming's face changed greatly. What? You want me to cripple my own cultivation and cultivate here in the future? No, I can't do that. Lu Ming immediately refused. What a joke. He had spent so much effort to cultivate to his current level. How could it be possible for him to cripple his own cultivation? Right now, he had a taboo body and controlled the taboo power. His fighting strength was incomparably strong and had reached 13 stars. His future was limitless. Even if he cultivated the chi refinement art, could he have his current achievements? Also, if he were to stay here and cultivate, he wouldn't go out. He still had to bring the 5 elements immortal tears out to save Dandan and Ling Yue. No matter what, he couldn't agree to these 2 conditions. Therefore, Lu Ming refused straightforwardly. Don't be in such a hurry to refuse. Let me tell you, although you are strong now, when you cultivate the chi refinement art to a high level, you will not be weaker than you are now, and might even be stronger than you are now. Furthermore, the Qi refinement art has unlimited possibilities, and it is much more promising than you are now. Also, you want to go out because you want to bring the 5 elements immortal tears out to save someone, right? Don't worry about that, I can send the 5 elements immortal tears out to your friends. Don't you have 2 friends waiting for you outside? Jade Maiden continued to earnestly persuade Lu Ming. At the same time, she praised the Qi refinement art to the heavens. However, Lu Ming only shook his head. He had never cultivated the Qi refinement art before. Who knew if it was good or not? Who knew if Jade Maiden was bragging? Who knew if the Qi refinement art taught by Jade Maiden was high level or not? Even if it was a cultivation technique from the previous era, there would definitely be a difference in level. What if Jade Maiden taught him a very low level one? Why are you so stubborn? If you don't agree, I won't give you the 5 elements immortal tears. In the end, Jade Maiden pouted and released a big move. You can't be so shameless. Lu Ming was tongue-tied. So what if I'm shameless? The Jade Maiden glared at Lu Ming. She had a self-righteous look on her face. Lu Ming. It wasn't easy for me to find someone who could comprehend some Qi refinement art. I definitely can't let you go. You have to give it a try. Jade Maiden continued. Lu Ming knew that Jade Maiden said that he had comprehended some Qi refinement art. It should be the hieroglyphs on the golden wall outside. Could it be that no one had come here before me? As far as I know, someone had come here 60 years ago, right? Lu Ming asked. Since Dandin knew that there were 5 elements immortal tears here, someone must have come here before. Yes, but those people are all trash. They don't have enough talent and aren't suitable for cultivation. You, on the other hand, are different. Your talent is very high. You only used 3 years to comprehend some Qi cultivation arts and entered this place. You are more suitable than those people. I won't let you go. Let me tell you, I definitely won't let you go. Jade Maiden muttered nonstop. All right, I can agree with you. At this time, Lu Ming suddenly said. You really agree? Jade Maiden was surprised. She didn't expect Lu Ming to change his mind so quickly. Previously, he was determined not to agree, but now he changed his mind? Yes, I agree. Lu Ming nodded. Just now, he had a flash of inspiration and thought of an idea. Behead 3 corpses technique. Yes, it was the behead 3 corpses technique. The behead 3 corpses technique could sever the past, present, and future. And now, Lu Ming could only sever his past and present. He had yet to sever his future. It's not that Lu Ming couldn't do it, but he didn't have a suitable opportunity to sever his future. His past body cultivated divine power, and his present body controlled taboo power. Then, what should he cultivate if he severed his future body? Now, he had it. After severing his future body, he could cultivate Qi refinement art here. Chapter 4389. Fei Huang once said that the 3-corpse execution technique was extremely mysterious. If one could cultivate it to great success, it would be of great help in breaking through a crucial realm in the future. However, the fusion of the past, present, and future would burst out with endless potential. Lu Ming had always wanted to create his future self, but he hadn't found a cultivation method for his future self. And Qi refinement technique was the most suitable. Similarly, his future self could also stay here for a long time to cultivate. Alright, then quickly cripple your own cultivation, Jade Maiden said. Cripple my own cultivation? No, there's no need to cripple my own cultivation. Lu Ming shook his head. No need to cripple your own cultivation? That won't do. Qi refinement technique and your current power will clash. They can't coexist. Jade Maiden shook her head. There's no need to coexist. I'll tell you the truth. I've cultivated a secret technique that can cut out the past, present, and future. As long as I cut out my future self, I'll let my future self and you cultivate Qi refinement technique here, Lu Ming said. What? You! Jade Maiden suddenly jumped up. Her eyes were wide open. Her red little face was full of shock. Could it be that you've mastered the three-corpse execution technique? Jade Maiden held back for a long time and finally said this sentence. You also know the three-corpse execution technique? Lu Ming asked. Nonsense, of course I know. No one in the great desolate continent doesn't know. Let me tell you, the three-corpse execution technique is the chi refinement technique of a top expert in the great desolate continent. It's incomparably mysterious, and can be called the top chi refinement technique. I thought it was lost, but I didn't expect it to be mastered by you. Jade Maiden muttered again. Wait a minute! Lu Ming interrupted Jade Maiden's muttering and said, Tell me, I can cultivate chi refinement technique after cutting out my future self. Does it meet your conditions? Of course. Jade Maiden nodded again and again. That's good. I'll start cultivating now and cut out my future self. At that time, you have to give me the 5 elements immortal tears. Also, I want 2 drops. Lu Ming said. No problem, I still have 3 drops here. By the way, you can take the 5 elements immortal tears out of the Supreme Immortal City, Jade Maiden said. All right. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He didn't waste any more time and sat down cross-legged. In his mind, he carefully thought about the art of severing 3 corpses, and then began to cultivate. It was not that easy to cultivate the art of severing 3 corpses. It took Lu Ming a few months to officially begin the process of severing his future self. His body began to tremble violently. Both his body and soul were in excruciating pain. His body began to sway violently, as if it were about to split apart, and another figure appeared. In the blink of an eye, another few days passed. This time, with the experience of creating his past self, the process was much smoother. A few days later, Lu Ming successfully created his future self. Sitting cross-legged opposite Lu Ming's present body was a figure that looked identical to Lu Ming. It was his future body. It was just that the current future self did not have the slightest bit of cultivation, nor the slightest bit of power. It was incomparably pure. Good, good, good! Jade Maiden danced around the future body unceasingly, sizing it up unceasingly. She was very satisfied. In her opinion, the future self was very suitable to cultivate chi refinement art. It was more suitable than Lu Ming's self-destruction of cultivation. Because the future self had not cultivated before, it was very pure. It was like a piece of unpolished jade that had not been carved. As long as it was slightly carved, it could become a piece of treasure. I will now teach you the chi refinement art's cultivation method. Immediately, Jade Maiden dictated the chi refinement art's cultivation method. Lu Ming memorized it in his heart. Subsequently, Lu Ming's future self began to comprehend the chi refinement art. Lu Ming's present self sat quietly at the side and did not disturb it. The future self was incomparably pure. Moreover, it had the talent and comprehension of the present self. Unexpectedly, there were no obstacles in cultivating chi refinement art. It was very smooth. In just 3 months, the future self had cultivated chi refinement art. In his dantian, a wisp of chi was condensed. This chi was completely different from true chi and divine chi. It seemed to be of a higher level and purer. Amazing, amazing, truly amazing. You actually managed to cultivate chi refinement art in just 3 months. You are simply a genius in cultivating chi refinement art. Jade Maiden kept circling Lu Ming's future self. Her face was full of admiration. Whatever I cultivate, I am a genius, Lu Ming muttered in his heart. Of course, he did not say it out loud. He was afraid that Jade Maiden would be unhappy. After all, he had not obtained the 5 elements immortal tear yet. Jade Maiden, can you give me the 5 elements immortal tear now? Lu Ming's present self said. Of course, but your future self has to stay here and continue cultivating. You should know that chi refinement art is all-encompassing and unfathomable. You have only grasped the surface of it. There are still countless things to learn. It will take a long time, Jade Maiden said. No problem, my future self will stay here and learn from you. Lu Ming's present self nodded. As for his future self, he naturally wouldn't object. His original intention was to cultivate chi refinement art. All right, I'll give you the 5 elements immortal tier. Jade Maiden stretched out her hand and pointed in the air. A ripple appeared in the air, and then a jade bottle appeared out of thin air. No storage ring, what kind of method is this? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Jade Maiden was just an illusion, not a physical body, and did not have any storage treasures. The jade bottle seemed to have appeared out of thin air. Could it be that the item was hidden in the void? The jade lady waved her hand, and the jade bottle flew toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming reached out and received it. When he opened it, he saw 3 drops of liquid inside. They were like water droplets, crystal clear. However, when Lu Ming took a closer look, the color of the water droplets changed again. They emitted a colorless light that was dazzling. With the 5 elements immortal tier in hand, Lu Ming was overjoyed. Qiu Qiu and Ling Yue were saved. Thank you. Lu Ming's present self cupped his fists and said, Let's go, let's go, let's go. Jade Maiden waved her hand again and again with a look of disdain. Her current thoughts were all on her future self. A wave of energy appeared out of thin air and enveloped Lu Ming's present self. With a roll, Lu Ming's body directly disappeared from his original spot. In the next moment, Lu Ming discovered that he had already left the secret room and reappeared outside the golden wall of light. Young Master! Big Brother Lu Ming! When Autumn Moon and Bubbles saw Lu Ming, they immediately flew over. Big Brother Lu Ming, how is it? Did you get the 5 elements immortal tier? Bubbles asked. Got it. Lu Ming nodded. Autumn Moon and Bubbles were overjoyed. Dandan, that guy is really lucky. He's saved now. Bubble chuckled. Although she and Dandan often bickered, their relationship was actually very close. With Dandan's life and death unknown, she was also burning with anxiety. Let's go, let's leave this place and find a place to recover Dandan and Ling Yue, Lu Ming said. Chapter 4390. Lu Ming and the other 2 returned along the way they came. Very quickly, they left the 5 elements immortal mountain and flew into the distance. Very quickly, they arrived at a relatively remote place. They planned to save Dandan and Ling Yue before returning to the Heavenly Might Star Palace. Bubbles, take out Dandan and Ling Yue's souls, Lu Ming said to Bubbles. Bubbles nodded, and with a wave of his hand, Dandan and Ling Yue's souls flew out. Their souls were wrapped in layers of time and space energy, and their bodies were covered in runes. Even so, after this period of time, their souls had dimmed quite a bit and become even weaker. In their bodies, the restrictive power of the Heavenly Palace's Heavenly Soldier battle armor was still constantly destroying their souls. If not for the double protection of the formation and the time and space energy, their souls would have completely dissipated long ago. Even so, their souls wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Fortunately, the 5 elements immortal tiers were in his hands. According to Dandan, as long as the 5 elements immortal tiers fused with their souls, not only would they be able to dispel the restrictive power in their souls, they would also be able to strengthen their souls and even help them recondense their bodies and completely recover. Let's begin, Lu Ming whispered as he took out a jade bottle and opened it. Using the forbidden power, 2 drops of 5 elements immortal tears flew out and flew towards Dandan and Ling Yue's souls. Under the control of Bubbles, the time and space energy did not obstruct the 5 elements immortal tears in the slightest. It passed through the time and space energy and flew towards their souls. As soon as it came into contact with their souls, the 5 elements immortal tears fused into their souls and disappeared. But in the next moment, their souls suddenly shone brightly. Strands of resplendent multicolored light burst out from their souls. Within the multicolored light, there were also traces of black mist. It really works! Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, and Bubbles all revealed looks of joy. This was because it was obvious that this black mist was the restrictive power of the Heavenly Soldier battle armor. At this moment, this restrictive power was being destroyed by the 5 elements immortal tears. About 3 minutes later, there was no more black mist coming out. This meant that the power of the restriction had been completely wiped out. After the power of the restriction was destroyed, the two people's souls quickly changed color and solidified. Furthermore, there was a powerful fluctuation. It was the fluctuation of their souls. Originally, there hadn't been any fluctuations in their souls. But now, there were intense fluctuations. Furthermore, the fluctuations were becoming more and more intense. Lu Ming and the other two felt that Dandan and Ling Yue's souls seemed to contain an incomparably terrifying power that was currently changing. "Withdraw!" Bubble called out. With a wave of her hand, the space-time energy that wrapped around their souls vanished without a trace. At the same time, the runes covering their souls disappeared without a trace. The restrictive power had already been obliterated, so there was no longer a need for protection. If the formation and space-time power continued to envelop the area, it would instead affect the effects of the 5 elements' immortal tears. As expected, after the formation and space-time powers were removed, the light on their souls became even more resplendent. Their souls looked like 2 pieces of glass, as if they had become solid. Then, with their souls as the foundation, flesh and blood were constantly being produced. This was a recondensing of their bodies. One could clearly see that strands of flesh and drops of blood were constantly being produced. This process lasted for about 3 hours. Dandan and Ling Yue's bodies reappeared in front of the 3 of them. However, they were enveloped by a layer of light. Boom! Following that, a powerful aura rushed out of their bodies. This aura grew stronger as it aged. Divine Lord, Divine Emperor, First Level Divine Emperor. Soon, they reached the 8th level of the Divine Emperor realm. This was the original realm of Eggy and Ling Yue, but this wasn't the end. Their auras continued to rise, and soon, they reached the 9th level of the Divine Emperor realm. Only after reaching the 9th level of the Divine Emperor realm did their auras stop rising. However, the changes to the 2 of them weren't over yet. First, a word rushed out from between Dandan's eyebrows. This was an origin ancient word. This word was the word formation. The origin ancient word formation was previously hidden in Dandan's soul. At the same time, runes constantly spread out around Dandan's body. These runes interweaved into different formations. These formations collapsed as soon as they appeared, and then turned into another formation. Just like this, the formations alternated. In an instant there were hundreds of formations alternating. It was incomparably mysterious. On the other side, Ling Yue seemed to have turned into a seed. Then, this seed quickly took root and grew leaves, and finally formed a towering tree. This tree was the Elven Sacred Tree. The Elven Sacred Tree emitted endless life essence, as if it was a world tree. It's evolving in all aspects. The 5 elements' immortal tears are truly miraculous. Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, and Bubbles were all sighing. Obviously, the 5 elements' immortal tears not only removed the restrictive power of the heavenly armor, but also helped them condense their bodies. It even helped them break through their cultivation and evolve in other aspects. For example, their physique secret techniques, origin divine power factor, origin secret techniques, and so on were all improving. One could imagine that after the 2 of them recovered, their combat strength would definitely soar. As for how far they could reach, it was still impossible to judge. This process lasted for a long time. It lasted for a full 3 days before the phenomenon around Dandan and Ling Yue disappeared. The multicolored light also disappeared, and their auras stabilized. Then, the 2 of them opened their eyes one after another. "Ha ha, I've revived. Ha ha ha, those fellows from the heavenly human race want to harm me? No way. Who am I? How can they control me?" As soon as he saw Lu Ming and the other 2, Dandan laughed out loud and boasted. Lu Ming's eyelids twitched as he directly kicked Dandan, causing him to spin 720 degrees in the air. "You brat, if it weren't for me, you would have been able to revive. You still have the face to boast," Lu Ming said with great disdain. "Lu Ming, you dare to kick me, I." Dandan covered his butt and jumped 3 feet high. He stared at Lu Ming with wide eyes and gritted his teeth, but in the end, he didn't dare to make a move. "Lu Ming, you're also a part of my plan. I already knew that you would be able to obtain the 5 elements immortal tears, so I set up such a plan. To put it bluntly, you are also my chess piece. Do you understand? Ha ha ha, I'm such a genius. I can even think of such a perfect plan. The more Dandan spoke, the more excited he became. He was so happy that he was about to dance. Mu Yun, you lied to me? At this moment, a voice rang out, causing Dandan's voice to abruptly stop. This was because this voice came from Ling Yue. Chapter 4391. Not good, I spilled the beans just now. Dandan muttered in his heart. He was so excited just now that he had called out Lu Ming's original name, forgetting that Ling Yue did not know Lu Ming's true identity. At this moment, Ling Yue's beautiful eyes were staring at Lu Ming, as if she wanted Lu Ming to tell her the answer. Lu Ming was silent. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. Are you Lu Ming or Mu Yun? Ling Yue stared at Lu Ming and asked again. Miss Yue, I'm really sorry. My real identity is Lu Ming. The name Mu Yun is someone else's. The real Mu Yun of the Fengdu Sword sect, who is also your real fiancé, might have died, Lu Ming said, directly revealing the truth. Why? Ling Yue's delicate body trembled as tears welled up in her eyes. Her eyes flashed with confusion and deep sorrow. She had always treated Lu Ming as her real fiancé, and had long since given her heart to Lu Ming as the person she had entrusted her life to. But now she suddenly realized that Lu Ming's true identity was not Mu Yun, nor was he her fiancé. Her real fiancé might have died a long time ago. This news had a huge impact on her. Her heart was in complete chaos. Miss Yue, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hide it from you. Back then I needed to borrow this identity to enter the Heavenly Palace. Lu Ming explained. You don't have to explain, Ling Yue said. Her gaze circled around Lu Ming and Autumn Moon, as if she had understood something. No, Lu Ming, you shouldn't have lied to me. You should have told me earlier, Ling Yue said. I'm sorry. Lu Ming still wanted to say more. It's useless to say more. From now on, you and I have nothing to do with each other. When we meet in the future, we will be passers-by. After saying that, Ling Yue turned around and stepped into the air. She was very decisive and direct. However, the moment Yue turned around, a teardrop fell from the sky and drifted with the wind towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming stretched out his hand, and tears fell onto his palm. They were ice cold, as if they were carved into Ling Yue's heart. At this time, Ling Yue had already left, disappearing before everyone's eyes. Sigh. Lu Ming let out a long sigh in his heart. Originally, he had used the identity of Cloud Herder to enter the Heavenly Palace and become a heavenly soldier. He had never thought that this identity would cause so many things to happen and cause so many disputes with Ling Yue. After being together for such a long time, it would be a lie to say that he didn't have any fluctuations in his heart towards Ling Yue. However, what could he do now? How could he explain it? Young master, aren't you going to chase after them? Chiu Yu walked over and held Lu Ming's hand, saying softly. What can we do even if we catch up? What explanation can I give? Lu Ming muttered and shook his head slightly. Lu Ming, look, you're messing around again, aren't you? Another girl has been hurt by you. Dandan curled his lips at the side. That's right. The bubblehead nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. So much nonsense. Let's go back to the Heavenly Might Star Palace, Lu Ming said, and then walked towards the direction of the Heavenly Might Star Palace. Dandan curled his lips and followed behind Lu Ming. A group of 4, no, to be precise, 2 people, 1 turtle and 1 mouse, headed towards the Heavenly Might Star Palace. After crossing several star palaces, they returned to the Heavenly Might Star Palace. After returning to the Heavenly Might Star Palace, they headed towards the hidden area. Now, Dandan and Ling Yue had been saved, and the restriction power of the Heavenly Soldier battle armor in their bodies had been removed. Now, Lu Ming was going to use all his strength to condense the Great Desolate Pill and break through to the 9th layer of the Great God Realm. Although his current battle strength was strong, reaching 13 stars, his cultivation was only at the 8th layer of the Great God Realm, which was still a little weak. Only when his cultivation reached the 9th layer of the Great God Realm would he not be afraid of anyone. Soon, they approached the largest earth vein. From afar, they could already see the 4 towering trees on the earth vein. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. The 4 trees were still there, which meant that the earth vein had not been broken through. If it had been broken through, the 4 trees would not have been intact without the sun. But at this time, Lu Ming suddenly felt a sense of danger. "Wait a minute, there's danger ahead," Lu Ming called out. In fact, there was no need for Lu Ming to call out. Autumn Moon, Bubbles, and Dandan also felt it. They involuntarily stopped and looked around. Swoosh! 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 At this time, on the ground and in the sky, many people rushed out and surrounded Lu Ming and the other 3. There were at least 1,000 of them. They were all from the heavenly human tribe. Most of them were strong men, but there were also a few of them who were young and powerful. Their terrifying auras gathered together and pressed down on their heads like mountains. The expressions of Lu Ming and the other 3 turned grave. These 1,000 heavenly human tribe members were all at the 9th layer of the Great God Realm. Obviously, the heavenly human tribe members knew that Lu Ming had left the earth vein, so they did not attack it. Instead, they were lying in ambush, waiting for Lu Ming to return. Oh no! At this moment, Yi Ling was refining pills on the earth vein. He was also alarmed and his face changed. When he saw so many heavenly human tribe members, he knew that Lu Ming had returned and was surrounded. However, there was still a long way to go. The 4 trees could not help at all. And with his battle prowess, after all, he was alone and weak. Even if he went, he wouldn't be able to help and could only be anxious. Lu Ming and the other 3 looked serious, but they were still calm. "Mu Yun, you're finally back. This time, let's see how you're going to die." A cold and arrogant voice was heard. A young heavenly human tribe member stepped out from the crowd. This person was Yeludi. Yeludi glanced at Lu Ming and the other 3. When he saw Dandan, his eyes widened in disbelief. He shouted, "It's you, the World Divine Turtle! How is this possible? How are you still alive? How are you still intact?" Yeludi was really shocked. Last time, he clearly activated the power of the restriction and turned Dandan into ashes. At most, Dandan only had a soul that hadn't been annihilated, but it couldn't have survived for long. But now, Dandan was resurrected. Judging by its aura, it seemed to be stronger than before. How was this possible? Yeludi was not the only one. Some of the people who were with Yeludi last time saw Dandan's fate with their own eyes. At this moment, their hearts were in turmoil. "Humph, you want to harm me? You're delusional," Dandan said proudly. "Humph, so what if I'm resurrected? This time, I'll turn you into ashes," Yeludi said coldly. Then, a disc array appeared in his hand. This disc array was the one that controlled the power of the seal. After taking out the disc array, Yeludi immediately activated the disc array to activate the power of the seal. End of chapter. Chapter 4392. The disc array in Yeludi's hand lit up and was about to activate the power of the restriction. During this process, Dandan had been curling his lips and looking at Yeludi with a mocking expression. Buzz! The disc array trembled slightly and light filled the air. However, Dandan was completely fine. He just looked at Yeludi with even more mockery in his eyes. "What's going on? Why isn't there any movement from the restriction? I don't believe it. Again!" Yeludi roared in his heart. He continued to pour power into the disc array, causing it to tremble even more violently. However, Dandan was still completely fine. "Don't waste your energy. Your restriction power is useless against me," Dandan's mocking voice sounded. "Impossible! How can the restriction power be ineffective against you? Could it be that you have already destroyed the restriction power? That's impossible. The restriction power can penetrate into the 60 trillion cells in the body. It's impossible for you to destroy it, even with Mu Yun's help. Yeludi roared in disbelief. In front of me, anything is possible. Dandan put his hands behind his back and put on a very arrogant look. Impossible, impossible! How is this possible? All the heavenly human tribe members present were in disbelief. It was as if the truth they had always known had been broken. However, there was nothing they could do about it. The truth was right in front of them. So what if he broke the restriction power? Why would we need the restriction power to kill them? Activate the 9 heavens battle formation and kill them in one fell swoop. At this moment, another heavenly human tribe prodigy said coldly. That's right. Activate the 9 heavens battle formation and kill them in one fell swoop. The other heavenly human tribe prodigies also spoke one after another with cold killing intent. This time, there were many heavenly human tribe prodigies who came. There were also many who were at the same level as Yeludi. Of course, it was not only the heavenly human tribe from the mighty Sky Star Palace. Many other star palaces had brought their people with the goal of killing Lu Ming. 9 heavens battle formation, activate! Finally, thousands of heavenly human tribe experts flashed and set up the 9 heavens battle formation. An incomparably huge celestial king was formed, emitting incomparably terrifying fluctuations. Thousands of cultivators of the 9th Great Supreme God layer had created the battle formation of the 9 heavens. They were terrifyingly strong. Lu Ming and the other 3 would definitely not be able to stop him. Humph, trying to play with formations in front of me? You're just showing off in front of an expert, Dandan coldly shouted. His body slightly moved, and countless runes rushed out of his body. Runes rushed out of every pore on his body and disappeared into the void. Within a breath's time, Dandan had sent out countless runes. Attack! Kill them! Yeludi roared, urging everyone to take action immediately to avoid any unforeseen circumstances. Kill! All of the heavenly human race cultivators roared at the same time and activated the 9 heavens battle formation. The incomparably huge heavenly human race king waved his battle sword and slashed towards Lu Ming and the others. It was too terrifying. As the battle sword was waved, the void kept exploding. Even an ordinary divine master would have to avoid such power. It was definitely not something that Lu Ming and the others could resist. Under such an attack, even Bubble's space-time energy would not be able to escape. The difference was too great. Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, and Bubble's faces were solemn. Now, they could only rely on Dandan. At this moment, runes suddenly appeared among the thousands of heavenly human race cultivators who had set up the formation. These runes seemed to have cut off the connection between the heavenly human race cultivators. The huge heavenly human race king's aura rapidly weakened. Then, with a bang, it turned into a burst of energy and dissipated. The 9 heavens battle formation was broken just like that. The heavenly human race cultivators were in disbelief. However, Lu Ming was not too surprised. The world turtle race was born for rune formations. They were born to master all kinds of rune formations. As for Dandan, she was the top heaven's pride of the turtle clan in the world. She had also obtained the origin source ancient character matrix. Her mastery of rune matrices had reached an unimaginable level. Moreover, Lu Ming was sure that Dandan had studied the 9 heavens battle formation before. Therefore, it was not difficult for him to find the flaw of the 9 heavens battle formation and break it in one fell swoop. Moreover, these heavenly human race cultivators were from different factions. Even if they had set up the 9 heavens battle formation, it would not be perfect. It would be easier for Dandan to break it. Kill! Kill! As soon as the 9 heavens battle formation was broken, Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, and Bubbles made their moves. Bubbles waved her hands and the space-time energy exploded. With Bubbles as the center, it spread in all directions and enveloped all the heavenly human race cultivators. Oh! Why is my skin drying up? Why is my hair turning white? Someone shouted in fright because he realized that his skin was drying up quickly. His golden hair was turning white and his body was aging rapidly. In the end, his body rotted and turned into ashes. This was due to the influence of the power of time. The acceleration of time caused these people to rapidly age until they decayed. Some people's bodies had cracks on them and then they were torn apart. They had been killed by the space-time energy. Of course, these people were the ones with weaker cultivations. The stronger ones were able to withstand the corrosion of the space-time energy. However, even though they had blocked it, they were still affected. Their strength and speed were suppressed. At the same time, Lu Ming and Qiu Yu joined forces and charged toward the heavenly human tribe. Numerous attacks were launched toward the heavenly human tribe. Although those heavenly human race cultivators were at the 9th layer of the Great God realm, most of them only had 5 or 6 stars of battle strength. They were no match for Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. Moreover, they were suppressed by the space-time energy. They could not block Lu Ming and Autumn Moon's attacks. Every time an attack flashed, a heavenly human race cultivator would be killed. Blood splattered everywhere, and screams could be heard. In an instant, dozens of heavenly human race cultivators had been killed by Lu Ming and the other 2. "Damn it! You're courting death!" Yellow D shouted. His eyes were red as he charged towards Lu Ming and the other 3. At the same time, the other peerless geniuses who had 9 or 10 stars of battle strength also charged towards Lu Ming and the other 3. Their battle strength was strong and they were not suppressed by the space-time energy. "Avoid them!" Lu Ming shouted. He used the movement technique and retreated quickly to avoid those peerless geniuses. Autumn Moon, Bubble, and the others did the same. They did not want to be entangled with those peerless geniuses. Instead, they charged towards the heavenly human race cultivators. With the support of the space-time energy, they were extremely fast. In an instant, they had caught up with the heavenly human race cultivators. Powerful attacks exploded, and the heavenly human race cultivators were killed one by one. Of course, their interspatial rings fell into the hands of Lu Ming and the others. "Damn it! Damn it!" Yellow D and the other peerless geniuses roared. However, they could not catch up with Lu Ming and the others. In the space-time energy, they could not use their full strength. End of chapter. Chapter 4393. The heavenly human tribe's 9 heavens battle formation was broken, and they were suppressed by the space-time power. Lu Ming and the others deliberately avoided the top geniuses of the heavenly human tribe and went to kill the strong men. It was not too difficult to kill them. In a short while, more than 60 strong men of the heavenly human tribe died in their hands. The other strong men of the heavenly human tribe were shocked. They kept retreating, not daring to get close to Lu Ming and the others. Without the support of the 9 heavens battle formation, these strong men of the heavenly human tribe were too weak compared to Autumn Moon and the others. "All of you stay here!" Bubbles shouted, and 2 origin ancient words flew out. The space-time power kept erupting and surging towards the people of the heavenly human tribe. Dandan was also extremely powerful. Light kept rushing out of his body, and when the light rushed out, it turned into a formation. Within a breath's time, hundreds of array formations appeared in the world. The speed of setting up the array formations was simply incredible. Even Lu Ming was dumbstruck at the sight. Obviously, after Dandan was revived by the 5 elements fairy tier, his combat strength had also increased greatly. It was hard to tell how many stars he could reach. Because Dandan controlled the runic formations, all kinds of runic formations were combined, and it was extremely mysterious and difficult to deal with. With the combination of all kinds of formations, it was not impossible to fight with existences with higher combat strength. There were all kinds of formations, trapping enemies, attacking, confusing, illusory, and so on. They all rushed towards the people of the heavenly human tribe. It could be said that with the cooperation of Dandan and Bubbles, Lu Ming and Autumn Moon could kill the people of the heavenly human tribe as easily as cutting vegetables. However, this time, Lu Ming was shocked. Because 2 figures suddenly rushed out from the crowd and rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. Their speed was extremely shocking, and they quickly approached Lu Ming and the others. Dandan shouted, and the formations changed direction and rushed towards this person. However, this person was too terrifying. His whole body was like a peerless, sharp divine sword. Wherever he rushed, one formation after another was broken. Over 100 formations were broken through in an instant. Danden's expression changed, and he shouted angrily. His hands danced quickly, and under his feet there was a dazzling light, and a huge formation appeared. This time, there was only one formation, but it was much bigger and more complicated than the previous ones. Roar! A giant beast rushed out of the formation. This gigantic beast looked extremely ferocious. It had the body of a tiger but the head of a divine dragon. Its entire body was covered in scales as it charged towards the figure. Boom! The two of them collided, and an earth-shattering explosion erupted. Then, both sides rapidly retreated. However, Danden had retreated even further, and the light of the formation beneath his feet had dimmed considerably. Yi Chu Qianye. That figure was indeed one of the heavenly human clan's sons of heaven, Yi Chu Qianwei. No wonder his strength was so terrifying. His combat strength was stronger than Danden's. Qianye retreated, and his eyes were cold. The power of heavenly punishment in his right hand and the power of heavenly extermination in his left hand intertwined with each other, and he attacked Danden again. On the other side, another figure rushed over. It was a woman from the heavenly human tribe. She was extremely beautiful, but her strength was abnormally terrifying. Bubbles' space-time energy kept exploding in front of her. She kept breaking through the space-time energy, and rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. Space-time blade, slash! Bubbles shouted, and a huge arc-shaped weapon appeared in her hand. It was completely condensed by the space-time energy, and it contained a terrifying attack power. The space-time blade slashed towards the heavenly human tribe woman. An axe appeared in the heavenly human tribe woman's hand. The petite figure wielded a huge axe and swung it at Bubble, colliding with the space-time blade. With a loud clang, a destructive force swept out in all directions. Bubble and the heavenly human woman trembled, and were sent flying backward. They were evenly matched. So strong! Could this heavenly human tribe woman be a heavenly daughter? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Bubbles was now at the 9th layer of the great supreme god realm, and her combat strength had reached 11 stars. The heavenly human tribe woman was evenly matched with Bubbles, so she obviously had 11 stars of combat strength. It was highly possible that she was a heavenly daughter. This time, the ambush for Lu Ming and the others was not led by Yeludi and the others. It was led by a few heavenly daughters. Qianye Chu Qianxing's eyes were cold, and when he looked at Lu Ming, his eyes were filled with killing intent. In the 5 elements celestial mountain, Lu Ming had passed through the golden light wall first. It was a great humiliation for him. Therefore, he came out first, and when he found out which star palace Lu Ming was in, he immediately contacted the other heavenly sons and heavenly daughters to ambush Lu Ming. Now, how could he let Lu Ming go? Die! Qianye Chu Qianwei shouted. His golden hair fluttered in the wind, and his body was covered by 2 supreme forces. He madly rushed towards Lu Ming. How could Danden allow him to get close to Lu Ming? The runes on his body flashed, and he appeared in front of Qianye Chu Qianwei. Another formation was activated, and another giant beast was formed, pouncing towards Qianye Chu Qianwei. Danden and Qianye Chu Qianwei fought fiercely. Although Danden was slightly weaker than Yi Qianwei in a head-on confrontation, Danden possessed too many tricks up her sleeves. She possessed all sorts of spirit formations and unleashed all sorts of spirit formations to tangle with her opponent. At that moment, Yi Qianwei was unable to do anything to Danden. However, Danden and Bubbles were entangled with each other. Muyun, your life is mine now. Muyun's life is mine! Those weaker geniuses, such as Yeludi and the others, madly rushed towards Lu Ming. Come on! Lu Ming's eyes were bright, and spear light was constantly bursting out from his pores. His whole body seemed to have turned into a long spear. Qianye Chu Qianyue's sacred heart was beating violently in her heart. Her whole body was shrouded in 9-colored light, and she was ready to launch a powerful attack. However, at this time, a figure suddenly rushed out from behind Yeludi and the others. His speed was much faster than Yeludi and the others, and he rushed towards Lu Ming and Qianye Chu Qianwei at an even faster speed. It was a young man from the heavenly human tribe. He was very young and handsome, and he had a strange temperament. He was holding a long spear in his hand. Swoosh! A ray of spear gleams suddenly pierced toward Lu Ming. The speed was so fast that it was shocking. It was not far from Lu Ming in an instant. "Young master, be careful!" Qianye Chu Qianwei exclaimed. She had been on guard, and now she acted immediately. The nine-colored light turned into a curved blade, slashing towards the spear light, trying to block it. Clang! The nine-colored curved blade hit the spear light accurately. Then, the nine-colored curved blade vibrated violently, and then it collapsed with a bang. The spear light did not stop there, and it continued to pierce towards Qianye Chu Qianwei. Qianye Chu Qianwei had just attacked with all her might, and it was too late for her to dodge. End of chapter. Chapter 4394. The terrifying spear light was about to hit Autumn Moon, and Autumn Moon would not be able to dodge it. At the critical moment, Lu Ming used the Greater Aurora technique and hugged Autumn Moon. In a flash, they appeared 100 miles away and dodged the attack. "This person is so strong!" Lu Ming's face was solemn. The strength of this young angel was absolutely terrifying. With Autumn Moon's strength, her strongest attack was defeated and almost hit by the opponent's attack. This young man's strength was definitely above Yechu Qianyue's, and not just by a little. "It's him, Yechu Tianji!" At this moment, Yeludi and the others were shocked. They could not help but stop and look at Yechu Tianji in awe. Yechu Tianji was a legendary figure in the heavenly human tribe. His talent was peerless and incomparably terrifying. The 4 heavenly palaces had a total of 9 heavenly sons and daughters, but even the heavenly sons and daughters were divided into strong and weak. As for Yechu Tianji, he was clearly an existence that stood at the peak. It was rumored that Yechu Tianji was one of the 2 strongest heavenly sons and daughters. Of course, there was a 5th heavenly palace in the heavenly palace. It was unknown whether there was someone comparable to Yechu Tianji in it. They did not expect that even Yechu Tianji would appear. "Mu Yun is dead for sure!" Yeludi and the others thought in their hearts and did not continue to attack. Because they knew that with Yechu Tianji here, there was no need for them to attack, and they would not be allowed to. Yechu Tianji stepped forward and closed in on Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. His eyes were cold and filled with an invincible spirit. He was domineering and domineering. "You are not bad to be able to block my attack. I did not expect that there would be such a woman in the human tribe. Follow me from now on and be my concubine. I can give you everything you want." Yechu Tianji looked at Autumn Moon and said to Autumn Moon. His words were filled with boundless confidence. He was one of the 2 strongest warriors of the Heavenly Palace's younger generation. Not only that, but even in the history of the heavenly human tribe, there were very few who were as powerful and talented as he was. The young generation of the Heavenly Palace was especially strong, much stronger than before. That was why there were 2 geniuses at his level. If it was in the past, he would be the king of an era. A figure like him was destined to become one of the top figures of the heavenly human tribe in the future, ruling over the primitive universe. What did he not have? Therefore, he was very confident and directly said that he would give Autumn Moon everything that she wanted. "I only want young master!" Autumn Moon shook his head and took half a step forward to stand in front of Lu Ming. He stared at Yechu Tianji cautiously. Jealousy. Intense jealousy filled Yechu Tianji's heart. Such a peerless beauty had actually rejected him. Such a woman could become a heavenly maiden in the heavenly human tribe, but she called Lu Ming young master. Even he did not have such a maid, nor was he qualified to have such a maid. But Lu Ming did. Who was Lu Ming? He was just a lowly human. What right did he have to have such a peerless beauty as his maid? The raging flames of jealousy seemed to be about to materialize. This made the murderous intent in Yechu Tianji's eyes when he looked at Lu Ming. "You'd better think carefully. Following me is your best choice. In terms of background, the heavenly human tribe rules the primitive universe. In terms of talent, I am the strongest of the young generation of the heavenly human tribe. No, I am the strongest in the universe. Follow me and you will not die, and you will also obtain unimaginable benefits. Yi Chu Tianji continued. It would be a pity to kill a woman like Autumn Moon. He still wanted to persuade her. No, my young master is the strongest, Autumn Moon said firmly. Ha ha ha, he is the strongest. Yi Chu Tianji was so angry that he laughed. He looked at Lu Ming with a hint of contempt. Although he has the forbidden power, he still has to kneel in front of me. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Chu Tianji took a step forward. A violent aura soared into the sky. The entire world seemed to be covered by a boundless mountain. It was suffocating. Yi Chu Tianji was also at the 9th level of the Divine God realm, but the pressure he gave off was much stronger than the others. At the same time, 3 rays of light appeared around Yi Chu Tianji's body. One ray of light was formed by small white lightning bolts. It kept twisting and turning into a battle sword in the end. This was the power of heaven's punishment. The other ray of light was gray and turned into a battle sword. This was the power of heavenly extermination. The other ray of light turned into a spear. This was the power of heavenly punishment. 3 kinds of heavenly powers. Lu Ming's pupils shrank and his face turned solemn. Yi Chu Tianji actually controlled 3 kinds of heavenly powers. This was the first time Lu Ming had seen such a thing. Lu Ming had seen the heavenly human tribe's heavenly masters in action before, but they only controlled 2 kinds of heavenly powers. However, Yi Chu Tianji actually controlled 3 kinds of heavenly powers. This was absolutely terrifying. No wonder this person was so confident. Lu Ming and the others were not the only ones who were shocked. Even the members of the heavenly human tribe were shocked. 3 kinds of heavenly powers. Oh my God, Lord Yi Chu Tianji really controlled 3 kinds of heavenly powers. The legend is true. Those who can control 1 kind of heavenly powers are already peerless geniuses. Lord Tianzi can actually control 3 kinds of heavenly powers. How did he cultivate? I'm so jealous. There's no need to be jealous. The gap is too big. The members of the heavenly human tribe discussed. In the heavenly human tribe, it was extremely rare to control 1 kind of heavenly powers, let alone 3 kinds of heavenly powers. It was said that there were very few of the heavenly human tribe's older generation members who were still alive. After accumulating for a long time, there were very few who could control 3 supreme heavenly powers. To be honest, Yi Chu Tianji did have the right to be arrogant. No wonder he didn't even take the forbidden body seriously. Today, I want a forbidden body to kneel in front of me. I'll let you know who's the strongest. Yi Chu Tianji looked at Autumn Moon. Then, he looked at Dandan and Bubbles and said, I'll also give you 2 a chance to join me. My target is not you. As long as you join me, I'll forgive all your past mistakes and give you a bright future. To be honest, he was also very tempted by Dandan and Bubbles. If Autumn Moon, Dandan and Bubbles joined him, no one in the heavenly human tribe would be able to compete with him. Not even Yi Linghongye, who was as famous as him. Are you dreaming? Dandan's reply was even more direct. You're not worthy. Bubbles' reply was even more infuriating. The killing intent in Yi Chu Tianji's eyes suddenly exploded. The anger in his heart completely exploded. Ungrateful idiots. Since you're so stubborn, I'll kill you all together. Yi Chu Tianji shouted coldly. 3 types of weapons condensed by the supreme power of heaven blasted toward Lu Ming. Chapter 4395. Ye Chu Tianji made a powerful move. His 3 weapons were all condensed from the supreme power of heaven. The power of heaven's punishment condensed into a huge battle sword that was 10,000 miles long. When the sword slashed out, endless lightning filled the air and the sky crackled. The power of heaven's punishment condensed into a battle sword. The sword light was also 10,000 miles long. Everywhere it passed, a destructive force pressed down on Lu Ming and the others. The power of heaven's punishment turned into a long spear that pierced through the void and went straight for Lu Ming's forehead. The three supreme powers of heaven's punishment attacked together. It was too terrifying. Their combat strength was far beyond Ye Qianyue's. 12 stars of combat strength. Lu Ming was sure that Ye Qianji's combat strength had definitely reached 12 stars. Although 12 stars of combat strength was only 1 star higher than 11 stars, it was much stronger. If the two sides fought, it would be completely crushed. With the strength of Qiu Moon and Lu Ming, they would definitely be killed by the other side. However, they had to fight with all their might. Lu Ming pushed his combat strength to the peak and prepared to fight with all his might. So did Qiu Moon. At this moment, something unexpected happened. Suddenly, a terrifying sound of something breaking through the air came from the sky. The black lotuses flew toward Yi Chu Tianji at a shocking speed. Yi Chu Tianji was the target. There were more than 100 black lotuses in total. In the process of flying, the petals of the lotuses fell off and stuck together to form 3 long swords. They flew toward Ye Qianji's 3 weapons condensed from the supreme power of heaven. The speed of the 2 weapons was very shocking. Before the crowd could react, they collided. Boom! 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 3 consecutive heaven-shaking explosions rang out, and the 6 weapons of both sides all exploded. Ye Qianji's attack was actually blocked. The 3 weapons that were condensed from the power of the heavens were actually destroyed. Everyone's hearts couldn't help but tremble violently. Especially the people of the heavenly human tribe. It was simply unbelievable. In this world other than Ye Qianji's Ye Chu Hongye, there was actually someone who could block Ye Qianji's attack? Who was it? Subconsciously, everyone's gaze turned to the sky. Among the crowd, Lu Ming was the most excited. That was because he didn't need to look to know who it was. Xian Yanqing. Without looking, Lu Ming knew that it was Xian Yanqing. He was too familiar with Xian Yanqing. He knew it the moment he made his move. Sure enough, from the heavenly palace, a beautiful woman was walking through the air. This woman was wearing a black dress. She was beautiful and had an unparalleled temperament. Who else could she be but Xian Yanqing? Lu Ming's heart began to race. His eyes fell on Xian Yanqing, unable to move away. Similarly, Xian Yanqing's eyes also landed on Lu Ming. It was as if she only had eyes for Lu Ming and no one else. Who are you? Yi Chu Tianji said coldly, but a trace of seriousness flashed in the depths of his eyes. That was because he felt a strong pressure from Xian Yanqing. He had only felt this kind of pressure from Yiling Hongye, and had never felt it before. Now, from Xian Yanqing, he felt this pressure for the second time. He found it hard to believe. In this world, other than Yiling Hongye, who else could compete with him? In his mind, he quickly searched for all the top geniuses in the universe, including Heaven Destroyer. But there was none. As far as he knew, among the younger generation of Heaven Destroyer, no one could compete with him. Even the strongest person was weaker than him. He had never heard of Xian Yanqing, nor had he seen him before. The person who will kill you! Xian Yanqing smiled at Lu Ming, then looked at Yi Chu Tianji with cold murderous intent. That guy again, this Lu Ming again! Yi Chu Tianji roared in his heart. His jealousy of Lu Ming was about to drive him crazy. As long as one wasn't blind, one could see that the relationship between Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming was not ordinary. Why were such beauties and peerless geniuses gathered around Lu Ming? How unfair was the heavens! You think you can kill me? What a joke! It's good that you're all here today. I'll catch you all in one fell swoop! Yi Chu Tianji roared and the 3 supreme heavenly powers were released again. This time, they didn't turn into weapons, but 3 beasts that pounced on Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing stepped in the air, her long skirt fluttering. She pressed her hands together and a magical field spread out, expanding rapidly and enveloping Yi Chu Tianji. At the same time, a huge black lotus with 108 petals appeared under her feet, supporting Xian Yanqing. Swoosh! 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 The petals of the black lotus flew out continuously, cutting through the air and flying towards Yi Chu Tianji. The attacks of the two sides collided for the second time. The three strange beasts formed from the power of the heavens rampaged through the air. The black lotus petals were incomparably sharp, and they were extremely flexible. They were unfathomably mysterious. For a moment, the two sides were locked in a fierce battle. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows, but there was no clear winner. The more Yi Chu Tianji fought, the uglier and more serious his face became. He was sure that Xian Yanqing was on the same level as him. As for the other heavenly human tribe members, they were all dumbfounded. Their hearts were in turmoil and they couldn't believe it. They really couldn't believe it. This was Yi Chu Tianji, one of the strongest young geniuses of the heavenly human tribe. It was also in this era that the heavenly human tribe had only produced two such geniuses. In the past, geniuses of this level who could control three supreme heavenly powers were extremely rare. Usually, it would take many eras for one to appear. Once they appeared, there would be someone who could suppress the universe for an era. Such a person was invincible even in the heavenly human tribe. But now, he was blocked by someone, and it was a human. How could there be such a powerful being in the human race? This was a great blow to the self-esteem of the heavenly human tribe who had always thought of themselves as superior. At this moment, the battle between Dandan and Bubbles had stopped. Yi Chu Qianwei and the heavenly daughter were also extremely shocked. They didn't expect that someone could resist Yi Chu Tianji. Dandan, Autumn Moon, and Bubbles came to Lu Ming's side. Soon, Xian Yanqing and Yi Chu Tianji had exchanged more than 100 blows, but there was still no clear winner. Boom! In the end, the two of them retreated after exchanging a blow. Xian Yanqing stepped in the air and retreated to Lu Ming's side. Let's go. Let's enter the ley lines, Xian Yanqing said. Lu Ming nodded. Everyone flew toward the ley lines. No one from the heavenly human tribe dared to stop them. They had the advantage in numbers, but only by relying on the 9 heavens battle formation could they make use of their advantage in numbers. Unfortunately, with Dandan around, their 9 heavens battle formation was useless. Without the formation, they had no way to deal with Lu Ming's small team. They couldn't make use of their advantage in numbers at all. If they really swarmed, who knew how many of them would die? Chapter 4396. Yi Chu Tianji's face darkened. He wanted to attack but did not do so in the end. With Xian Yanqing around, he was not confident. Unless he went all out. However, it was not worth it now as it would affect the battle for the origin seed later. If he fell ill now, it would be very disadvantageous for him in the battle for the origin seed. His desire to kill Lu Ming was not as strong as the ordinary heavenly human tribe members. After killing Lu Ming, ordinary heavenly human tribe members could be conferred the title of Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven. However, he was already the Son of Heaven and the most powerful one. How could he be conferred a title after killing Lu Ming? At most, he would be rewarded. However, with his status, what kind of reward could he not get? While he was thinking, Lu Ming and the others had already returned to the earth vein. Here, they would be safer with the protection of the 4 big trees. On the earth vein, Yi Ling was also a little stunned. At the same time, he was very shocked. The people around Lu Ming were too terrifying. Each of them was a peerless genius that was rare in the universe. His talent was already considered top-notch, but compared to anyone around Lu Ming, he was overshadowed. I didn't do much today? Lu Ming was also muttering. Today's events were also a little beyond his expectations. Today, he was besieged by so many experts. He only killed some of the burly heavenly human tribe members and did not fight with the heavenly human tribe elites. He did not even fully display his true strength. Several times, he was about to attack but was intercepted by Autumn Moon or Xian Yanqing. My performance today is really a little. I'm living off a woman, Lu Ming muttered in his heart. However, he did not care. The stronger his woman was, the better. Lu Ming, are you okay? Xian Yanqing held Lu Ming's hand and looked at Lu Ming carefully as if she wanted to look at Lu Ming enough. Of course I'm fine. Little Qing, how have you been recently? How did you get recruited by the Grand Supreme Immortal City? Lu Ming also carefully looked at Lu Ming and asked. I'm not too sure either, but I didn't encounter any danger after entering the Grand Supreme Immortal City. Instead, I obtained some fortunate encounters that allowed my cultivation and battle prowess to improve greatly. Xian Yanqing gave him a brief account of what had happened to her. It was probably because Xian Yanqing had entered a few years earlier and had the advantage. He had obtained a large number of pill furnaces and desolate pills, and had also entered several immortal mansions and obtained great fortunes. Regardless of whether it was his cultivation or his battle prowess, both had increased tremendously. Moreover, she had the memories of her previous life's Tang Qing. She had all kinds of secret techniques that were extremely powerful. Ordinary people could not compare to her. That was why she had a 12-star combat power. "Io, don't be so mushy. There are still people around," Dandan shouted. "That's right," Bubbles chimed in as well. "Cough, cough." Lu Ming quickly coughed a few times and stole a few glances at Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon maintained her smile and stood beside Lu Ming without saying a word. At this moment, she stepped forward and said to Xian Yanqing, "Sister Yanqing, long time no see. Sister Autumn Moon, long time no see. You're getting more and more beautiful." Xian Yanqing also smiled and grabbed Autumn Moon's hand. Lu Ming was delighted. Xian Yanqing had long known about the relationship between Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. It seemed that Xian Yanqing had accepted Autumn Moon. In that case, would he accept others in the future? At this moment, Yi Ling also flew over. Lu Ming introduced the two of them. "Brother Lu, at this rate, it'll be difficult to gather 12 billion desolate pills for you." Yi Ling sighed. "It doesn't matter. We've gained a lot this time." Lu Ming smiled faintly. He knew in his heart that given the previous alchemy furnaces, it was impossible to gather 12 billion primordial pills by the time the deadline of 50 years was up. There were not enough cauldrons for refining pills. However, this trip to the Five Elements Immortal Mountain, coupled with the heavenly human tribe members they had killed before, should be able to obtain some cauldrons. Immediately, they took out the storage rings they had obtained from the heavenly human tribe. Just now, they had killed at least 70 strong heavenly human tribe members who were at the 9th level of the divine god realm and had the battle strength of 5 or 6 stars. These people were not weak, so they should be able to gain a lot. After counting, it was indeed a great harvest. On average, each person had more than a dozen cauldrons. In total, there were about 1,000 cauldrons. In addition to the experts they had killed in the Five Elements Immortal Mountain, the number of cauldrons added up. "That's enough!" Lu Ming's face lit up with joy. There were still nearly 9 years before the 50-year deadline. The alchemy cauldrons in his hands were enough to help Lu Ming gather 12 billion primordial pills in the next 9 years. "I still have about 1,000 cauldrons. I'll give them all to you." At this moment, Xian Yanqing said and waved her hand. A large number of cauldrons flew out. There were really 1,000 cauldrons. Most of them were 1 meter in diameter. However, there were about 30 cauldrons that were 3 meters in diameter. Everyone, including Lu Ming, was dumbfounded. Xian Yanqing alone had over 1,000 cauldrons. She was only one person. This was too terrifying. "I just came in a few years earlier, so I got the upper hand," Xian Yanqing explained casually. Even so, Lu Ming and the others took a while to react. Then, they were faced with a new problem. The cauldrons were definitely enough. However, the desolate chi in the earth vein was not enough. The desolate chi in the earth vein should be enough to refine 10 billion desolate pills. Obviously, it was not enough. With so many cauldrons, it would be refined in less than 9 years. There are many high-grade earth veins in this hidden area. The desolate chi is extremely rich. Let's split up and bring a batch of cauldrons to the other earth veins to refine pills, Lu Ming said. Good idea. Let's go immediately, Bubbles exclaimed. There's no hurry. Yi Chu Tianji and the others are still in this astral palace. It's not good for us to go out. We can wait for a while. Yi Chu Tianji and the others will not stay for long. They will go to the other astral palaces to look for opportunities, Lu Ming said. Everyone nodded. Then, they worked together and activated the cauldrons to refine pills. Right now, everyone had over 3,000 pill furnaces in their hands. Activating them all at once was way too horrifying. It was as though there was a gigantic black hole that was sucking in all the desolate chi in the surroundings into the pill furnaces. Half a day later, countless primordial pills flew out of the elixir cauldron. They were densely packed and there was no telling how many of them there were. Lu Ming used his taboo power to guide them and put them all into his storage ring. Then, they continued. Just like that, they stayed in the earth vein for a year. As they refined pills crazily, the desolate chi in the earth vein decreased at a speed visible to the naked eye. At this rate, the desolate chi in the earth vein would be exhausted in a few years. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.